All right, this is the ops refresher training for the year. Quite candidly, with cobbling all this together real quick, I haven't even gone through this. So I'm going to welcome anybody that wants to kick in and comment and supplement what I'm going to talk about. You know, the bottom line really is when you're ops, you're in charge of the field. Even if you're a new guy, don't defer to the old guys. You're in charge of the field. You're running it. The decisions are yours. Just like aircraft, I said about aircraft maintenance, if you're not real sure, grab one of the old guys and ask them. That's one of the wonderful things about this club is everybody stands shoulder to shoulder and helps each other out. Your very, very first job, right there, is safety. You got people walking up, tourists walking up asking questions. You got people asking when they can launch or when they can tow or whatever. You know, the first thing that has to go through your mind is safety. We're not going to bend one this year. We're not going to hurt anybody this year. And that's in aircraft or on the ground. You got to think safety all the time. After that, we're talking about fairness, and what we're really talking about is the ops board. I'm sorry I don't have it here for the newer folks. Christ, this room has got mostly all the old guys.
You guy.
All right.
I'm new guy.
All right. We've got an ops board at the field, and actually it's magnetic tapes. If you're a new student or a new person in the club, it's magnetic tapes with your name on it. You put it on the board when you show up, and that's the priority, your launch priority. And then you'll see where you move it over when you're ready to stage, and when you're staged, we move it over into another column. Really the best way, I'm not going to go into that any deeper. When you get to the field, grab one of the older, more experienced members, and they'll walk you through how to use the ops board.
Or Ethan, one of the younger, more experienced members.
Or Marge and Bill.
You know, I got to define older members. That's anybody who's been around a while.
More experienced.
Members with longevity.
More experienced. Our more experienced, thank you. Our more experienced members, and he's one of them. That's why Ethan's on the board. We're proud of Ethan. He's come a long way. Yeah, it's worth it. I'm not sure what they're getting into here when they say communications, what they really want me to talk about.
Well, just make sure everybody's talking to each other.
Radios.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Call the tower.
Let everybody else know what your intentions are so that we can work with each other.
All right, I see his presentation expands on that here. Thanks. Yeah, we got to talk to each other. You know, if you're running ops, can anybody tell me why the ops base radio doesn't work?
Which one?
Well,
The one with the battery?
the one with the battery?
Doesn't work.
Well, they say it doesn't work because it requires 2 batteries and a higher power output.
Yeah.
We never seem to have 2 charged up to gang together. That's what I heard.
Even with the solar panel on the pole, it doesn't put out enough power for the radio.
Really?
Not
Yeah.
enough oomph.
What's the answer to that?
I use
14
it.
volts.
Just use handhelds?
Oh, let's fix it. Get a volunteer. Find
All right.
a volunteer.
Climb the pole, put
What
another
they end
charger
up
there.
doing, what they end up doing in most other situations is they run 14 volts instead of 12.
Yeah.
All right. Is there someone here who has the talent and the inclination to solve that problem? Nobody, maybe I can find out in the other.
I'll take that one on.
You'll take that on?
Yeah.
All right, thanks. Thanks. Let's do that. You know, we own, I don't know, 8 or 10 of those handhelds, and they're good handhelds. And the ops guy really needs to have one glued to him. Oftentimes, the wing runner doesn't have one. You really need to have one with you. And you know, if you're going downfield to pick up a glider that's just landed or bring a glider out, you really need to grab a handheld. We've got them, for crying out loud. Let's use them.
Pat?
Yeah.
Something else is of interest. There are several of the ops guys, there is a code you punch into the telephone that will transfer to your cell phone. So some of the guys, when they do ops, like Ethan, if they're away, if they have to do more than one thing and they're not at ops and they can't hear the phone ring, it's transferred to their cell phone. Now, pretty everybody carries a cell phone nowadays, so making sure that a guy doing ops knows how to do that so he can have the ops phone on his cell phone wherever he is on the field is probably advantageous, especially for scenic rides.
The manual says not to do that. The manual says to let it ring.
Oh, okay.
Is the manual out of date?
Yeah, why would you want to do that?
Yeah.
What is sacrifice
You have
business?
to get a phone
Anyway.
call. Just make
No,
sure.
it's not getting the phone call, it's transferring the ops phone to the
No,
guy
you
who's
don't
running
need
the
to
field.
phone.
You can take
The
them
phone's not gonna stop
Book people
down.
for the next day.
No, but the phone should be answered. Members might be calling.
Tell you what, we've got some differences of opinion here, and they both have merit. We'll bring it up at a board meeting, we'll come up with an SOP. Whatever. Go ahead, Craig.
You mentioned going down range to get the gliders and such, and one of the common problems I see regularly on the field is people with golf carts going down the center of the runway. And I feel that you should get dinged for doing that. You should be off the side of the runway, going next to the noses of the gliders and the trailers as you're going down. Do not go on, because I've been in landing and somebody pulled out right in front of me landing, and I've seen it multiple times.
Very, very good point. Well taken, and I think it's well taken by the group. Along with that, talking about runway etiquette, this is not an ops topic, but it certainly is a safety topic. If you land and you roll out, and you are so skilled that you park your nose right on the stop line, we're going to talk to you. Because this year, we're not going to stop on the stop line. We're going to stop before the stop line. That's SOP. If you manage to stop at the stop line, you've done it wrong, and we're going to have to talk with you. Because we had some incidents last year of overrun, and somebody could have gotten injured or killed. Airplanes could have gotten bent. We're just plain not going to do it. It's the only way I know how to word it. Carrie?
Are we gonna have a spot that people can use as an aiming point, a second set of cones or something, so people can say, hey, let's stop here?
I'll tell you what I use.
So the point is that there's not a stopping point, there's a landing point. The landing point is down the field near the end of the runway. We stop when we are able to stop, and we'll come get you. The goal is not to see how far I can roll down the runway. The goal is to land correctly, and we will come and get you.
It takes a little more time. I appreciate that, but it doesn't hurt anybody. King?
If you're taking a check ride, I'm going to ask you to stop before you get to that orange trailer where they keep all the golf carts. You should be able to see in the front of that orange trailer when you stop.
That's your test standard.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
You know, as far as that goes, we could cut the line where the stop line is now and then move the cones back to where you want them to stop. So that line is an overrun safety feature.
Why don't we just get another set of cones
Yeah.
and back them up a bit?
Don't give any name.
And, yeah, all right. You guys can tell I'm winging this, right? So any input?
Yeah, okay, I got another kind of similar topic.
Yep.
A couple times last year we had where pilots would land, they're tired after a long flight, hop out of the cockpit, they're unplugged, and they're not aware that other gliders are trying to land, and they're planted right in the middle of the runway. So I think people need to be aware that they may need to go pick up the tail and hustle to the side. It's not their job to wait for a cart, it's their job to clear the runway.
Yeah, right.
Excellent point that got lost in our culture last year, and it needs to be a part of our culture. And, you know, some of the ships are a little heavy, like that big Grove. But typically that big Grove is flown with 2 people. And you get out there and you drag it off to the side. Obviously, there's a little bit of judgment. If you know it's only you and another guy flying today, why, that may not be important. But on most days, I think that's a very strong point. And let's make that a part of our culture in 2013.
So I guess you could say if tow off the runway is not imminent, either stay plugged in or push it off yourself.
Use your eyes.
Use your eyes. Yeah.
Pushing.
And ears. You got a radio.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. We talked about fairness. I should have looked at this thing directly in this one.
Well, that was efficiency, so we covered that one.
All right.
Looking it backwards.
All right, let's go to the communications one, because I think this is a big distractor for the guy running ops. You're the communicator. Your first communication is with what's going on with the airplanes on the runway. Honest to God, guys, you're the control tower, and you're also ground control, for those of you who fly power planes and know what that is. You're running the airport. We already talked about the telephone. If the telephone's ringing, you know, at home, you race for the phone. I guess that's part of American culture. Here, if you got something going on the airdrome, let the bloody phone ring. We can always pick up the calls later.
Yes.
By the way, what is it, star 99? You pick it up, it beeps at you, and you want to pick up a message. Does anybody know? We'll look that up in the ops book in a little bit. I think it's star 99.
That handheld radio to wing runners is good, because a lot of times you'll find a wing runner out there without it, so the ops guy should probably check that a guy that's running the wing has the radio.
Well,
That's real advantageous to have.
everybody in this room is a wing runner,
Yeah.
so we're just put the word out. When you go to run wing, take a radio with
Yeah.
you. Bill?
Yeah, since the wing runner is constantly changing, why don't we just have a procedure of putting a handheld on the
The cart?
that's out there at the start line, and it's always there.
Remember, if you
the person
remember,
knows at the
take it
start.
out.
So the academic question is, why would you take the wing runner cart out without a radio? You would, from now on, you don't anymore. That goes with the wing runner
Put a
cart.
solar charger out there.
Pardon me?
Put a charger out there, keep it charged, because I don't think that any of those will
Last
hold
8
a
hours.
whole day's charge, operate.
Bring 2 radios and keep one off.
Yeah, although, I like the solar charger idea. Anybody here want to take charge of doing that? Come on, guys, it's a member-run organization.
Well, we should also have the charger.
You got it?
Also have the charger on all our golf carts, so that the radios can stay there and stay charged too. Same situation.
Yeah, and
Well-
be good just up on the roof.
Yeah,
we
should be able to
About
mount one
50
right.
bucks or less.
Oh, yeah.
They're not, I'll donate one, I've got one I'm not using.
The solar charger? Thanks.
Pat, don't we have a bunch of old radios from the gliders we pulled out?
No,
We don't?
no.
Okay.
We had one anyway.
That might be good to hardwire that with a speaker to one of the parts.
We'll explore that. For the moment, let's get a permanent radio or a radio out on the golf cart, or on the wing runner cart. All right, thanks.
Did the cart show up? The cart, somebody was fixing it.
Well, let's talk about carts. I'm not quite sure what the status is, because John Bradford is overhauling the carts once more. And John is on vacation and would have had it done by next weekend, but we're opening a week early. So I'm not sure what's out there by way of carts. Does anybody know?
Yeah, I know.
We had one last week.
We had one last week? Okay, we're gonna wing it for a little bit. John is gonna change the configurations, and we're just all gonna have to make it happen.
Now, are you talking about the golf carts, or are you talking about the equipment?
No, we're talking about the ops cart that all the junk is stored in, and we're talking about the launch cart.
Then that brings up the question, are there tow ropes out there if the cart isn't?
Yes, the tow ropes are up.
Yep.
A couple of them.
Okay. You know, along with this thing about not answering the phone if you're busy, we haven't talked yet about walk-ups, customers. They're a distraction, but you know, it really is helpful to be able to be in a glider outside of the IP and hit the mic and say, North Plains Ops, say winds. I've done that many times. I think I've gotten a response twice. It really is helpful, and if you're not all caught up in socializing and you're not all caught up in walk-ups and all that other stuff, you'll hear that radio call, particularly if you're packing a radio. Mike?
I'm just telling you time.
Okay, I'm running out of time. Safety, 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 you're in charge. It's not a flying day for you. If you're a commercial pilot and you have a commercial ride out there and there's nobody else out there, unless somebody is really willing to step in and say, I have the ball, you gotta let it go. We need to have you run ops. Says here, you get to draft anybody for help. That also means that the guy you draft is going to be willing to do it. And again, that's what keeps the field operating. Whatever, you know. Kaz, can you run ops for 10 minutes for me? There's something I got to do. But it's a positive handoff, and Kaz is in charge and running the field while the ops guy is away. If you've got any questions about any of this, you know, George O'Leary just updated the ops manual and just updated the membership manual. And there are some changes. And pull them down off the website, take a look at the changes. There's also there's one of each manual in the ops cart. Consult it. A bunch of stuff here I'm going to pass over. Who knows what member priority time is for launch? Unless he's always got it up there.
He's very good.
Is it 12:30 to 2 o'clock?
Boy, we better get it all right.
We better get it all right. All right. Member priority. You know, we're doing, on a day when we've got a lot of walk-ups, a lot of people wanting commercial rides, we do 2 to 1. 2 club ships to 1 commercial. However, between 12:30 and 1400, that's the sweet spot for the cross-country guys. And they have 100% priority. If there's a dead spot and you're on ops and you can slip in a commercial ride, that's cool. You make some money for the club, but the priority goes to the cross-country guys that want to launch during that time period. George likes this thing, no more than 8 intros on a typical day. You know, on a typical day, George is right. However, you know, use your own judgment. If members just aren't flying and you've got the resources available, then let's make the money. Mike?
You gotta remember that we have the 2 Blaniks, or we will have the 2 Blaniks and the Grove 103. The 103 is intended for advanced training, but if it's not being used for training, it is certainly available for intros, but it should not be the primary. It should, one of the Blaniks should be the primary.
Mike,
Yes.
on that, last year it was decided that as long as the Blaniks were flying students, then the Grove was gonna be used as an intro, so.
Well,
Makes sense.
except if we have it up training. If we have it, I mean, because its purpose was to be purchased for advanced training,
Right.
Yeah.
and that's its priority.
Yeah, actually, you're both right, and the pressure will come off when we get that second Blanik back in the fleet. Craig?
Is there any priority between training students and rides? You want the training students get priority, or is it on the board as you come and go?
It's on the board as you come and go. Now, we do have the sweet spot for students in the morning up till noontime. You know, get out there, if you're a student, get out there at 9 o'clock. Get out there at 9:30, pre-flight your aircraft, and when your instructor shows up, you own that aircraft for up to 3 rides up until noontime. And you can get a lot of training done before noontime.
Refresh me on that 2-to-1 ratio.
Okay.
I don't remember that from last year doing ops. So.
Well, and the way it works is we don't want to turn away any intros, but we want our members to fly too. So
Yes.
what we're talking about is 2 member launches and a commercial launch.
Okay.
2 member launches and another commercial launch.
Okay.
Unless, you know, the conditions dictate something else.
And usually you try to take care of that in the staging.
Let's go to the new to 2012 one. Yeah, you got it up there already. Intros, we still only have one price for intros. If we indeed get the 233 back in service, we're going to keep that up at 120 bucks. We're not going back to 90 bucks on the 233. Let me read to you a little bit. We've changed some of the requirements to move up through the single ship fleet, and it's really, God, this print is small. Or I'm one of the old guys.
Shakespeare.
You know, in order to fly a single seat ship, to fly the 126, you need to have 10 solo flights in your training aircraft, which will probably be the Blanik, and a sign off by your instructor. And you can fly the 126. To move up to the junior, you need 10 solo flights in the junior, I'm sorry, in the Blanik or the 126. And you can move into the junior, which essentially makes the junior in the same category as the 126. They're both pretty docile. They fly a little different, but they're good first single seat ships for students. Staying with the single seat ships, the Grove 102 and the LaBelle. It used to take almost an act of Congress to meet the insurance requirements to fly the LaBelle. That's changed. To fly the LaBelle now, you need a private pilot rating, 10 solo flights in the junior or equivalent, dual training with an instructor in the Grove 103, a little more slippery airplane, and a sign-off. And that just isn't that hard. So we really think that utilization in that lovely LaBelle is going to go way up this year, because I think the average student can move in there pretty fast.
So what would be equivalent then? The 126 would be equivalent of the junior?
Yeah, we consider the 126 and the junior equivalent.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Or if you've flown something else equivalent someplace else, you
Somewhere.
can document it. You know, that sort of thing. All right, I guess I'm going to wrap it up. Anybody, what did I skip? Anybody want to throw anything in here? I appreciate the help. Jeff?
I just wanted to say that George always wants everybody to fill out, when you sell a 5-pack, which always seems when I'm doing ops, selling 5-pack, you have to fill out a membership form so you know who this person is and where they come from, so George can get back a hold of them later on.
Wow, strong point.
And also so Don Flynn can get an instructor lined up for him.
Yeah, but even more importantly, thanks, I forgot all about that, but when you sell a 5-pack, you got to get a membership form, or George has no idea what to do with it. What else did I skip? Marge?
If you could all make sure, I'm doing the data entry for George again this year, and make sure if you take credit cards that you fill out, neatly print the information in all the blocks on the form. Sometimes I'm looking at them and it's a little difficult to decipher the numbers.
Okay.
Same thing with the cards.
Ah, I know what I left out, and that's standard briefing. Is that what you were going to do, Chuck? All right, standard briefing. We've reprinted the tow tickets. They've got a block that I think it says SB. Has anybody seen them? Okay, I think they say SB on them, and you check the SB block if it's a standard briefing between you and the tow plane, meaning you aren't going to do anything different. You're just going to do a tow to 3,000 feet, and maybe you'll talk to each other about where you're going to get off. If you're going to do anything funky, particularly instructors, or you want to go someplace unusual, you want to differ from the normal departure, then don't check the standard briefing block. Get on the radio and talk it over with the tow pilot. And that way the tow pilot and everybody else knows what you've got on your mind, and also get acknowledgement from the tow pilot.
So is there a box for non-standard briefing?
No.
Because don't you, to fit insurance requirements, don't you have to confirm that there has been a briefing given? So if it's not standard, how do you denote that?
You could write the details
Just
on the
wrote-
bottom of the ticket.
Or write
Just
NSD or
or
something?
write going to 4,000, going over wherever
Okay.
on the
Yeah.
bottom, and then
Makes sense.
that's
The ticket has-
verification of
has
something.
Some room to
concrete.
write that, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
All right, some annotation that it's non-standard, which even if you don't write your whole intentions out for the tow pilot, it puts him on notice that you got to talk about it. All right, what else did I skip? Mike tells me I'm out of time. Okay, thanks, guys.
Oh, wait, as you're leaving, don't, you can be walking off, what about the 102, where does that fit in that?
Just said,
I missed that.
same as the LaBelle.
The 102,
Same as the LaBelle, okay.
yeah.
I would've thought,
So you know what we really have is the 126
and the junior,
and the junior are in the same category.
and then the LaBelle and the 102.
The 102 and the LaBelle are in the same category.
Yeah, they're in the same category, but checking out in one does not check you out in the other.
But the
Absolutely.
requirements are the same.
The requirements are the same. If you are checked out in one, checking out in the other is a cockpit check and a discussion with the instructor.
Absolutely.
And the
Any more?
Lark would be after that then, once it's
Is that-
extended.
We'll worry about that when he comes back on the field.
Yeah. Probably we won't see the lark this season, is the way it's looking. Anything else? Okay. You want to go, Ken?
I can go.
Okay.
It's over.